Hmm.
Now we can.
Okay, so now you can see my charts, right?
Right.
Okay, then I'm gonna start. Thank you very much for having the opportunity to present some thoughts on social media and communication management today here at your conference. I'm really honored that I've been invited to this great international conference of young people. In the next 25
The microphone, please. Professor, microphone. We cannot hear you if you don't talk to the microphone.
Okay, now it's better?
Now it's perfect.
Okay. I'll have to take my script on the other side. So everything's perfect still?
Yes, now yes, yes.
Okay. So in the next approximately 25 minutes, I will take a closer look on the impact the internet and especially social media have on corporate and marketing communications, examining especially the role it plays when dealing with young target groups. The central theme of my report is the question if we are really facing a revolution in communications due to the emergence of the internet, making a sudden shift in professional communication necessary, or if we are facing an evolutionary development where lots of things change over time while others stay the same or just gradually change. When you are looking at the practical as well as the academic discourse concerning this topic, we can extract two theses trying to explain why social media revolutionized the communication world, and especially professional communication management. First, thesis says that we are facing a totally new world of communication due to social media, with active users producing own content and with bloggers replacing classic journalists. The second thesis is more or less a conclusion of the first, saying that the game of professional corporate and marketing communications is shaken to the core due to the development. I would like to have a closer look. I'm sorry?
Sorry, could you... What?
I just heard a question. I don't know if you asked something or...
No,
Okay,
everything's fine.
Okay. The central... I would like to have a closer look on the first thesis first by examining how people, and especially young people, really are using new media. Therefore, I will use Germany as an example, as there is no comprehensive international survey on this topic as far as I know. With an internet penetration of, depending on the underlying survey, 73 to 83% of the population, Germany belongs to those countries where the use of online media is common for a vast majority of people, whereas there is still a diminishing minority living without the World Wide Web. Thus, the situation in Germany is comparable to many industrialized countries. According to one of the most important regularly conducted studies on the internet use in Germany, there is a clear generation gap. 100% of the teenagers asked in this survey have access to the internet and use it regularly, while being online is still not common in the generation 60 plus. And we're looking at the time spent with different media. It is obvious that television is still the dominant medium, despite vast use of the internet, as we've seen on the chart before. But the situation is somewhat different among younger people. Their television and internet have approximately the same importance. So the generation gap cannot only be realized regarding the general use of the internet, but also when we look at the time spent with different media. Let us examine a little closer how people, and especially the young generation, are using social media in Germany. As we can see here, there are significant differences when it comes to the use of different social media applications. Whereas networks and communities, Wikipedia and video portals are frequently used, especially reading or writing blogs, using Twitter, is not common for the vast majority of German internet users. The number of young people using these applications, again, is clearly above the average of all internet users. But the general direction is quite the same. Blogs and Twitter are niche media among young people as well. A totally different picture can be seen as far as communities are concerned. Almost 2 of 3 of the younger people use their preferred network every day. So in fact, we just had 3 major social media applications. Communities like Facebook, portals like YouTube, and Wikipedia. Furthermore, it is interesting to see how people are using these applications. Most people, and also young people, use Wikipedia and YouTube just like a classic mass medium. They receive information or view videos, but they do not use the possibility of switching the direction and produce content themselves. In other words, the often cited active user is, at least in Germany, the exception, not the norm. Not even among the so-called digital natives. You can see this quite clearly as well when we are looking at the data concerning the general interest in producing content. We can assume that only those people find the possibility to produce content very interesting are really active users producing content on a regular basis. Just 12% of all users, respectively 16% of the 14 to 19-year-olds belong to this group. 2 authors presenting data of the study I've cited conclude with respect to the results. There is lots of evidence that the old media, especially television, will still be the dominant media in the next years. The aim is to reach a broad public, they say. No other medium catches up with television. Seems to be somewhat different when aiming at young target groups. But there as well, the continuing importance of television and radio is evident. To put it in short words, the internet and social media do not have altered media use completely until today. Of course, there are significant changes in the way people inform themselves about political issues or about products. But nevertheless, until now, there is no sudden fundamental change, but an ongoing process with gradual changes. This is shown especially by the fact that most internet users are not active users on the discussed STEM. They use the internet, they use social media, more or less, with the exception of communities like classic mass media. So there is certainly a change in the use, some kind of break in comparison to that what we've known during the last years. Let us proceed to the second key sentence on the sociological dimension of the internet and social media. Are the routes of professional communication really changing completely? Therefore, I will examine the different major implications of the social web more closely. The first implication is that viral communication between cross-related users is of extreme importance in the social web. That is, communication is organized in network form, and everyone can be a sender and a receiver of information. But as we have seen, most people do not really use that possibility of switching. Consequence, communities where companies have to earn their share of voice if they want to be successful in their marketing and corporate communication efforts are of extreme importance. These communities, opinion leaders play a vital role for the acceptance of opinions and the building of reputation. Furthermore, due to the network style of communication, new publics and target groups may emerge. Finally, it is commonly supposed that professional communicators, such as companies, lose power, as everyone can be a communicator and it does not take plenty of money to publish an opinion on the web. This certainly is all true, but the crucial question is, does this really mean a fundamental change? Viral communication in networks with opinion leaders influencing their peers has always been of importance. This has been described by Lazarsfeld already in the 1940s, and we have a really long tradition of opinion leader research since then. One may furthermore well assume that numerous historic events like, for example, the French Revolution, would not have been possible without passing on ideas and thoughts in social groups. This leads us to the next point. Societies never had fixed structures. The regular emergence of new publics is a phenomenon inherent, at least, to society's letterpress. But not only in the political context, the power of viral communication can be witnessed clearly before the emergence of the social world. Some of you may remind the Brent Spar case in the middle of the 90s, when Shell wanted to sink the oil platform with the mentioned name in the North Sea. The internet played almost no role at that time. Nevertheless, Greenpeace managed to start a campaign combined with a virally spread boycott appeal and finally forced the company to alter the plan and to dispose of the platform ashore. It may not only serve as an example for the power of viral communication in the past, it also shows that professional communicators never had such an amount of power than is often suggested today. Now, what really has changed in the market and social environment of companies are not the processes, as we have seen. It is the velocity in which communication and well-known processes are happening. Thus, we can conclude that the rules of communication are not really different from the past, or completely different from the past. But professional communication has stayed faster. When we look at both the development as far as media use is concerned and the environment of companies, we can assume that we are not facing a revolution where we are confronted with a totally different situation emerging in a small period of time, but that we are facing an evolutionary process where things are gradually changing over several years. So does this mean that the contemporary discussion about social media and corporate and marketing communications just partially, certainly yes, but not totally. The evolutionary development we are witnessing brings along, as any evolution, the necessity for adapting to the gradual changes in the environment. This professional communication in general, and especially when aiming at young target groups, of course has to take the different new communication channels communicating and gathering information is concerned. But, and this is the important difference, professional communication should not quit formal knowledge, thoughts, and strategies. The use of social media and other internet instruments have to follow the same rules any other communication instruments have to follow. They should just be used when there is a clear focused strategy and clear aims attached to it. Furthermore, there may only be very few cases where online and social media really replace traditional ways of social. So, adapting to the new media environment as far as young target groups are concerned means especially adding new instruments to the classic communication mix and of course the dialogue character of communication. Furthermore means taking into regard that new publics or target groups may form, especially among the young generation, in networks like Facebook. There is the possibility to engage the fans of a brand or company, making them brand ambassadors in the classic sense of opinion leaders influencing their peer group. Most adapting to the new environment means developing internal structures that enable professional communication to cope with the speed of communication. This is probably the most important change professional communication has to undergo, because adapting to the velocity of the internet is to react to a conversation started by an individual within at least 4 better 12 hours. Thus, you have to have the capacity for leading such a conversation, and the people in charge of communicating must have to answer most questions directly without any further consulting with supervisors. So this means that hierarchy, and it means lots of responsibility for the communicators. Many companies in the structures in such a way may be the true and real revolution. Adapting to the new environment without breaking up with former strategies is exactly that what successful brands do when using online media. Let us have a closer look at youth marketing. The youth marketing expert Graham Brown lists up two timeless drivers, as he calls it, in the development of young people, which are major important. The first driver is the need to belong to a peer group, development of social ties. The driver is gaining its importance among early teens and keeps it at least up to the end of eternity. The driver is the own role or status within a social group. This driver is becoming more and more important when young people are maturing. Among young adults, it is finally the most important driver. Conclusion from a marketing perspective is that we need social packaging around a product or brand. Assessing a product becomes a sign of belonging to a group. Furthermore, it is possible to create a community in context with brands. As the two drivers mentioned are timeless, we can well assume that the described basic strategy is not new and not inherent to social media. In fact, lots of successful brands managed this task successfully in the past, without social media or without the internet. You just may think of the brand Star Wars, created in the late 70s, early 80s. The Star Wars community performed really well without the internet. Of course, today we found the Star Wars community on the internet, but it was not born there. It was transferred to the internet. So we can see forming a community, packaging was even important before the internet. Also, clothing brands like Benetton succeeded in forming a cult among young people in the late 80s, early 90s. Status and belonging were shown by wearing clothes. That is something that works since we have clothing industry. So the real clue is not to develop a totally new strategy or invent the whole world new. The clue is to enhance strategies using the special strengths and opportunities of the internet and of social media. When we look at Red Bull, for example, the Austrian energy drink, we find quite a good example for this way of using social media. The basic strategy of Red Bull, having young people as major target group, consists of both creating special events for the target group and of sponsoring events or teams fitting to the brand. All events taking place in the real world, not in the virtual world. So, at all, we have a mixture of sports sponsoring like Formula 1 and soccer, and special events created by the company like Red Bull Cliff Diving, Red Bull Air Race, Red Bull X Fighters, Red Bull Crash Time. These different events, all taking place in the real world, and partially being really all of them social media, they all offer lots of possibilities for perfect online communication. So we can, they offer content which can be published, and furthermore they allow creating online communities around these events and finally around the brand. And this is exactly how Red Bull is using the World Wide Web and social media. If we were looking at the different, on the website and on Facebook, we would see that the content generated by those events in the real world are the soil for all social media activity. So the social packaging in the offline world and the social packaging in the social media world really go hand in hand. That is what makes up the strength of Red Bull. To sum it up, the internet and social media do not change the basic rules of communication management, but in general, and not when young target groups are in the focus of interest. The key is not to develop completely new communication strategies, given the existing strategy is successful, of course, but to exploit the potential of social media in favor of the existing core strategy, enforcing and strengthening. So, thank you very much for your attention. Do you have any questions?
Westermann, that was fantastic, beginning from the fact that we finally here all together online at the same time, and of course your report it was very interesting, the topic, the theme is very interesting. Do we have questions here? Yes, we do.
Dear Professor Westermann, thanks for your presentation, and I have probably some kind of practical question, because recently I heard, I think several times, that communication agencies who professionally work on the market and consult big companies, they stopped recommending to use blogging and text-based social media, and it makes sense of sort of evolution inside the new media area when new kind of approaches and technologies come and sort of make others old-fashioned. So what do you think about it? Is there any trends in new media field that evolve?
Well, I'm not quite sure if I really got your question right. Which trends do we have? I think one major trend is that we have with an application that is more or less cannibalizing most other applications. That is, I've talked about Twitter and the well, relatively low range of use of Twitter. That of course has also something to do with people moving away from different media applications into that one application which is called Facebook. That is, the trend is certainly that we will have that community platform which integrates lots of other applications that have been formerly in great commonality. I'm not quite sure if that answers your question.
Well, I think in practical terms, the question was about textual part of the new media, say blogging, Twitter, and shift towards video-based and more multimedia-based social media, more sort of appealing to the audience. So, and I know you work practically, so what would you recommend to go, say, to your client, to go to text-based new media, or to play with more visually multimedia appealing things? So this is probably the question.
Well, I think this really depends on the target group. If we talk about young target groups, as we're doing right here, I think that we really should be a way to call it. So, as you said, the multimedia aspect, not so much text-based communication, is certainly that what comes quite close to that what young people are expecting today. But of course, well, what away from the target group is we have a high level product where we find that product and where we have the potential to well intellectual make a more intellectual approach. I think text-based communication should not be completely omitted. Or in another way, when we have young people, when we have consumer goods in the classic sense, then I think video and other forms of well, moving pictures are certainly the right way. Whereas as soon as we have a complex product that is a good idea to state or to add at least some text-based.
Thank you very much. And we have a question from the United States of America now, from Olga Matyash, one of our key speakers. She is originally from Russia, we can proudly say that. And now she is in Iowa, right? Hello.
Good morning. In your case, good morning in mine. Yes. Yes, I
yes.
do.
You have a question. You can ask
hear
your
me
question
well?
right now.
Yes, I do. Professor Westermann, can you hear me well? Because I have a difficulty
We can,
in
Professor Westermann.
hearing you. Can you hear me?
No, not really. I can hear something, but I don't understand you.
Okay, can you hear me, Professor Westermann?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I can transfer the question from the United States to Germany. Oh my God, who'd have thought I could say that?
Yes.
Olga, you're welcome to ask your question.
Because I couldn't really hear the presentation well, I really had to follow you mostly by your slides. And I have two questions to you. One, relating to what you said about how we have to adapt to the acceleration of communication today. And one of the trends or suggestions outlined was that communication study departments or communications departments have to be altered in their structure. So can you elaborate on what you meant by that?
Well,
perhaps I understand. Perhaps I've understood at least the last part of the question. That was, in how far should communication departments change due to the velocity problem? Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, well, we need two things. One thing is communication departments need. This sounds quite simple, but it's not the fact in a lot of companies. They simply need people who are responsible of social media communication. This means you have to have a position which is in charge of answering the different comments coming in social media, react to questions put upon the Facebook website, etc. So the first change is just install people in charge of social media. And the second one is more difficult because, well, you've got to give them the power to react to questions asked, to criticism, etc. So what you need is people who have, well, who have a kind of Q&A paper, that is question and answer paper, or a frequently asked questions paper, where they really can decide themselves to communicate. This is there is somehow less control than in the past, when every sentence that was communicated outside went up to the boss of the department. So we have to decentralize in a certain way the responsibility for talking to outside persons. I think that this is a real change for most companies, as they still stick to the hierarchical way. Where, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I was able to catch probably about 30% of your talk, unfortunately. So, but that's one of the drawbacks of our global connecting. We are on different sides of the globe. So
if you
and
like,
we're right in the middle.
you can, excuse me, just 1 second. If you like, you can write me an email, of course.
right,
Olga.
yes.
Just write me an email.
We can We can continue this discussion online, really, because of course everything, all the information, the report, the presentation will be posted there, and you can discuss the issue there without any problems, technical problems. Thank you very much. Professor Matias, we'll get back to you in time, and Professor Westermann, we are so grateful for joining us today. It was very interesting. Thank you very much. It was a great experience. And Irina Kuzheleva-Sagan is sending her regards, warmest regards. And again, congratulations. She's right here, sitting next to me.
Okay,
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
And bye. Have a nice evening.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I really liked it very much, and thank you. Okay.
Not the last time, hopefully. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And we hope we will see all our speakers, key speakers, experts online. And now we are moving to our colleague from Tomsk State University. The theme of the next speech is social media and value dilemmas of digital culture, future trends for the new generation. And the author works here at Tomsk State University, as I said, and his name is Dmitry Galkin. He is an associate professor at Institute of Arts and Culture. And you can proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, and whatever time is in the city where people live who are watching our conference online. And I'm going to be talking about values and the culture and the difference from what we heard